Ladies and gentlemen, I almost never admit this, but there's something special about you. Now, I know that might sound like one of those overly sentimental statements you hear too often in motivational speeches, the kind that slides past our critical radar, but I'm not going to say it lightly. I've spent decades studying patterns of thought, human behavior, and the intricate machinery of the mind, and I have come to one unavoidable truth. There is an extraordinary potential in each person that often remains invisible, even to themselves. It's not about talent, not about wealth, not about the superficial markers that society obsesses over. It's about something deeper, something fundamental, an energy, a spark, a kind of neural resonance that can ignite your life in ways you never thought possible. I want to start with a story from my own life, because there's a lesson in it. Early on, I found myself in rooms where everyone was brilliant. People with degrees from the best universities, individuals who had cracked unsolvable problems in their respective fields. Yet there was something missing in the collective energy. They were smart, yes, but they lacked that underlying drive to reach beyond what was immediately visible. And then there were others, people who didn't have the pedigree or the accolades. But when they spoke, when they acted, you could feel a kind of magnetic inevitability, as if the universe was nudging them forward, guiding them towards some extraordinary purpose. That is what I am talking about when I say there's something special about you. From a neuroscientific perspective, this something special has tangible foundations. In your brain, there are networks that govern creativity, intuition, and empathy. We often think of the brain in terms of logic centers, problem-solving neurons, or memory pathways. But there's an interconnected web that is far more subtle, more profound. It's the default mode network, the system that allows you to daydream, to imagine futures that don't exist yet, to feel deeply and intuitively. People with heightened activity and connectivity in this network often experience the world differently. They see possibilities where others see obstacles. They sense patterns that others miss, and they respond with an originality that is almost alien in its purity. This is part of what makes someone truly remarkable. I remember meeting a young engineer once. On paper, they were ordinary, a competent student, an enthusiastic worker, not a prodigy by any conventional measure. But something in their gaze suggested they were wrestling with questions no one else dared to ask. In conversation, they would veer into territories that were uncomfortable, that challenged assumptions, yet carried a clarity that cut through the noise. And over time, I realized that what made them special wasn't a single skill, but a persistent insistence on questioning, on exploring, on seeking truth beyond the obvious. That insistence, that courage to navigate uncertainty, is rare, and it's what makes someone extraordinary. This aligns with research in human potential and creativity. Studies have shown that the ability to tolerate ambiguity, to navigate uncertain environments without panic, correlates strongly with breakthrough innovation. When most people encounter a problem that defies immediate solution, their brain triggers stress responses, narrowing focus, constricting possibilities. But those who can embrace uncertainty, who can explore the what-ifs without fear, activate networks associated with creativity, with insight, with innovation. This is a neurological pattern that underlies the success of the most transformative thinkers, inventors, and leaders. And it exists in you in some form, waiting to be amplified. And let me be clear, it's not about perfection. It's not about having everything figured out. Some of the most impactful breakthroughs in human history came from individuals who failed repeatedly, who fell into despair, who confronted the edge of their own limitations and pushed through. Failure is a neurological crucible. It reshapes the brain, rewires connections, and often reveals hidden capacities. Each time you attempt, each time you risk, you're not merely practicing resilience. You are training your brain to access higher order cognition, intuition, and empathy simultaneously. You are building a neural architecture capable of feats that will surprise even yourself. Consider the example of pioneering astronauts who venture into space. Beyond the physical training, Beyond the technical knowledge, what distinguishes them is the ability to operate under extreme conditions, to manage stress without succumbing to panic, and to make decisions when the margin for error is vanishingly small. These traits are mirrored in everyday life, in far less dramatic but equally meaningful ways. Your capacity to face challenges, to navigate interpersonal complexity, to innovate in the midst of uncertainty, is what signals that there's something remarkable about you. You might not see it yet, but it's there, encoded in your thoughts, your instincts, your actions. Emotionally, this understanding carries immense weight. We are social creatures wired for connection, and yet so often, the environments we inhabit fail to recognize the subtle qualities that make someone exceptional. You may have felt overlooked, underestimated, even dismissed. Perhaps your ideas were too unconventional, your questions too bold, your vision too expansive for the people around you. And that is precisely the proof that there is something special within you, because true novelty, by its very nature, is initially alien to the collective. When you feel misunderstood, it is often an indication that you are operating at a level beyond what is immediately visible, beyond what is commonly accepted. I want to emphasize one more dimension: the interplay between intellect and morality. Some people think brilliance alone is enough. It isn't. The truly extraordinary person is capable of harnessing intellect in service of something meaningful. Neuroscience teaches us that the prefrontal cortex, which governs judgment, decision-making, and foresight, works in tandem with the limbic system, which governs emotion and empathy. Those who integrate these systems effectively, who can reason without losing their humanity, tend to produce outcomes that are not only innovative, but transformative in a way that uplifts others. That integration is subtle, but it is detectable. And it is part of the special I am referring to. Let me give you a real-world analogy. Imagine two individuals working on a complex problem. One is exceptionally intelligent but rigid, the other moderately skilled but flexible, curious, and resilient. The first may produce impressive work within a narrow frame. The second, however, often reaches solutions that defy expectations, that reconfigure the problem itself in a way no one anticipated. The differentiator is not raw intellect. It is the combination of curiosity, empathy, courage, and persistence. That differentiator exists in you, even if you don't fully recognize it yet. There's also an aspect of timing. In our modern lives, it's easy to assume that extraordinary potential must manifest immediately in obvious ways. But human development is non-linear. Neural plasticity, the brain's capacity to change and adapt, continues throughout life. You may have felt inadequate or behind, but neuroscience shows that growth is always possible. Synaptic connections strengthen through experience, learning, reflection, and challenge. Each day presents an opportunity to refine your thinking, to expand your emotional intelligence, and to align your actions with the deeper capacities that make you special. In my own ventures and collaborations, I have repeatedly witnessed the extraordinary emerge where least expected. Often, the person whose ideas were initially dismissed becomes the linchpin of innovation. And this is not coincidence, it's a reflection of a deeper pattern. The world tends to undervalue those who operate quietly, consistently, and courageously. It is a bias of perception, not a measure of capability. And that is why recognizing the special quality within yourself is so critical. It allows you to persevere despite external skepticism, to cultivate your innate abilities, and to transform latent potential into real, world impact. And it's not just about achievement, it's about contribution, about resonance. Your uniqueness has a ripple effect. Every act of curiosity, every moment of courage, every instance of thoughtful reflection sends subtle signals into your environment. These signals influence others in ways that are almost invisible at first, but accumulate over time. Think of the teachers, mentors, or colleagues who inspired you, not necessarily by their fame or status, but by their presence, their consistency, and their willingness to challenge norms. That is how something special propagates quietly, persistently, and profoundly. I want to address a psychological component as well, that self-doubt. Many of us are acutely aware of our limitations. We catalog our mistakes, magnify our failures, and underestimate our capacities. This is normal, it's human, and yet it can obscure the extraordinary potential within. Research in positive psychology shows that reframing self-perception, acknowledging your strengths while remaining honest about weaknesses, enhances performance, creativity, and resilience. When you start to truly recognize the subtle qualities that make you special, you begin to operate in a different bandwidth, one where possibility expands and fear contracts. To make this concrete, imagine a musician practicing alone for years. Perhaps they never perform publicly. They doubt themselves constantly. Yet, in those hours of dedicated focus, neural pathways are being strengthened, dexterity is being honed, and expressive capacity is deepening. One day, when opportunity arises, they can perform with a depth and authenticity that surprises everyone, including themselves. That musician is you, in whatever domain you inhabit. The preparation, the curiosity, the relentless engagement with your craft, these are the hallmarks of the special qualities I am describing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as you sit here today, I urge you to consider the unique composition of your mind, your heart, and your intentions. There is a synthesis within you, a convergence of creativity, empathy, persistence, and courage that is rare. It doesn't demand validation from others. It doesn't need to be measured by conventional success metrics. Its presence is enough, and once you recognize it, it becomes a guiding force, a lens through which you navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and leave an indelible mark on the world. I could speak for hours on examples, on neuroscience, on psychology, on history, on stories of unsung heroes whose quiet brilliance changed the course of entire fields. But ultimately, it comes down to this: the recognition of your own uniqueness. Once you see it, nurture it, and align your actions with it, there is almost no limit to what you can accomplish. The world does not often notice quietly exceptional individuals, but they are the ones who shape the future, who redefine possibility, who remind us of what it means to be truly human. So I ask you to take a moment, breathe, and consider: what is the spark within you that the world has overlooked? What is the courage you have suppressed, the insight you have dismissed, the potential you have doubted? That spark exists. It is real. And when you embrace it, when you allow it to guide your curiosity, your work, your relationships, your purpose, you will realize something profound: the universe itself seems to respond when extraordinary potential awakens. Opportunities appear, connections form, and moments of insight arrive as if in conversation with your deepest self. Remember this: you are not ordinary. The simple act of showing up, of engaging with the world thoughtfully and courageously, positions you within an extraordinary continuum of possibility. Your mind is capable of insights yet unimagined. Your heart is capable of compassion yet untapped. And your life is capable of impact yet unfulfilled. Recognizing this is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is the first step toward actualizing what is already present inside you. And so, as I look out into this audience today, I want you to leave with one indelible understanding: there is something undeniably special about you. It is not a gift bestowed lightly, nor a transient spark. It is an enduring potential, shaped by your experiences, refined by your choices, and amplified by your willingness to engage with the world with courage, curiosity, and empathy. Cherish it, cultivate it, trust it. Because when you do, you are not merely existing, you are participating in the ongoing evolution of human possibility, and one day you will look back and realize that the quiet qualities you cultivated in obscurity, the risks you took when no one was watching, and the curiosity you pursued relentlessly, have rippled outward in ways you could never have predicted. That is the true measure of what makes someone special. And today, in this room, in this moment, I am certain that potential resides within each of you. Nurture it, honor it, and allow it to guide you toward a future only you can create. And as we explore what it means to embrace this uniqueness, I want to share another dimension that often goes unspoken: the interplay between solitude and creativity. Many of the people who have made the most profound contributions to science, art, and human understanding spent countless hours alone, not in loneliness, but in deliberate engagement with their thoughts. The brain thrives on this kind of reflective space. Neural circuits involved in deep problem-solving imagination and foresight are strengthened when we allow ourselves to disengage from external noise and focus inward. Solitude, when embraced consciously, becomes a laboratory for the mind, a place where the seeds of innovation and insight germinate. Consider Nikola Tesla, who spent hours in near complete isolation, visualizing inventions with a level of detail that defied the technological capacity of his time. Or the great mathematician Ramanujan, whose mind operated in a unique internal landscape that allowed him to perceive patterns invisible to others. In each case, their brilliance was not simply a function of intellect, but of their willingness to inhabit the spaces between conventional thought, to dwell in the unknown, to explore without fear. This is a path that is available to all of us, yet so few choose it consciously. You have access to this same latent capacity, the ability to step into your own internal universe and emerge with insights that have the power to reshape your world. And it is not merely cognitive capacity that defines this specialness, it is also the emotional resonance that accompanies it. Empathy, the ability to perceive and resonate with the emotional states of others, is not just a moral trait, it is a neurological phenomenon with profound implications. Neuroscience has shown that when we engage empathetically, mirror neurons fire, stress levels decrease, and both cognitive and emotional processing are enhanced. Those who combine intellectual insight with emotional attunement are uniquely positioned to create systems, solutions, and experiences that resonate deeply with others. They are, in a sense, amplifiers of possibility, translating raw potential into impact that others can feel, appreciate, and build upon. I think of a young researcher I worked with not long ago. On paper, their achievements were modest, but they had an extraordinary ability to sense the unspoken needs of those around them. In team meetings, they would notice subtle hesitations, silent concerns, and unarticulated ideas. They would then take these fragments and synthesize solutions that not only solved the problem at hand, but elevated the collective thinking of the entire group. That capacity to integrate observation, intuition, and action is what I mean when I say there is something special about you. It is the combination of sensitivity and insight, the willingness to act in the service of a broader vision that marks someone as extraordinary. And here is another point. The human brain, contrary to popular belief, does not operate optimally under constant certainty or comfort. True growth occurs at the edges, where challenge meets resilience. When you navigate difficulty, your brain releases neurochemicals such as dopamine and norepinephrine, which heighten attention, focus, and problem-solving capacity. Stress, when managed effectively, is not an enemy, it is a catalyst. It carves new pathways, strengthens synaptic connections, and encourages adaptive thinking. Every obstacle you face, every moment of uncertainty you endure, is essentially a rehearsal for greatness. It is the universe sculpting the neural architecture that enables your special qualities to flourish. I also want to touch on something fundamental, something often neglected, the role of curiosity. Curiosity is the engine of human progress. It drives exploration, experimentation, and the expansion of consciousness. Curiosity is inherently tied to the brain's reward system. It stimulates dopamine pathways, motivating continued learning and engagement. When you approach life with genuine curiosity, not superficial curiosity, but the kind that questions deeply, seeks patterns, and embraces complexity, you activate the very mechanisms that underpin exceptional insight. And the remarkable thing is that curiosity is contagious. When you allow yourself to be deeply curious, you inspire others to do the same. Your specialness is not just an internal phenomenon. It radiates outward, influencing everyone around you. And yet, for all of this, there is a humility that accompanies the truly extraordinary. Real brilliance is rarely loud. It does not demand recognition. It operates quietly, persistently, and often invisibly. You may have witnessed individuals whose actions, though understated, have transformed industries, communities, or lives. They were not celebrated immediately, they simply persisted, trusted their internal compass, and let the quality of their work speak over time. This is a critical lesson. Specialness is not contingent on immediate validation. It is about consistent engagement, alignment with purpose, and the courage to trust your own judgment, even when external acknowledgement is absent. There is also a temporal element. Life unfolds in a series of iterations, and the fruits of your specialness often emerge gradually, accumulating silently before manifesting spectacularly. Just as a seed takes time to break through the soil, your potential matures over repeated cycles of learning, risk-taking, and reflection. Each choice you make, each effort you invest, even in seemingly small ways, contributes to the emergence of your full capacity. And when that capacity is realized, it is transformative, not just for you, but for those whose lives intersect with yours. I want to share one final perspective, rooted in the intersection of neuroscience, philosophy, and lived experience. The human mind is not only a problem-solving machine, but also a meaning-making engine. We seek patterns, narratives, and purpose. And when you begin to recognize your own special qualities, you unlock a profound psychological alignment. Actions begin to reflect internal potential. Decisions are guided by intuition as well as reason, and creativity flourishes in tandem with resilience. This alignment creates momentum, an almost gravitational force that draws opportunities, insights, and connections toward you. You are no longer merely reacting to life, you are co-creating it. And so, when I say there is something special about you, I am not merely offering flattery. I am pointing to a constellation of capacities, intellectual, emotional, intuitive, creative, that exist within you right now, waiting to be acknowledged and expressed. You may not yet see the full scope of it, but it is real. It is measurable in the way you think, in the way you respond, in the subtle impact you have on those around you. And once you embrace it, once you act in accordance with it, you enter a space where ordinary limitations dissolve, and extraordinary potential becomes tangible reality. So I ask you, in this moment, to reflect on your journey. Recognize the failures you've endured as necessary for growth. Recognize the doubts you felt as evidence of your courage to attempt. Recognize the sparks of insight, empathy, and curiosity as indicators of your latent capacity. And then commit, not to perfection, not to validation, but to deliberate cultivation of that which makes you unique. For when you do, you will discover that the world, in its infinite complexity and unpredictability, is ready to respond to your presence in ways that are meaningful, transformative, and enduring. And as you leave here today, carry this understanding with you. Your specialness is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of awareness, engagement, and persistence. It exists in your thoughts, in your choices, and in the quiet persistence of your actions. Nurture it, trust it, and let it guide your interactions, your creativity, and your ambitions. The future you can create, the impact you can have, and the lives you can touch are limited only by your willingness to recognize and embrace this gift. Because in the end, what the world truly needs is not more conformity, not more imitation, not more passive acceptance of the ordinary. It needs the courage, creativity, and brilliance that reside within each of you. That is the specialness I am speaking of. That is the legacy you can leave. And that is why, without exception, the most profound changes in human history have always arisen from individuals who recognized their own unique spark and had the courage to act upon it. And now, as you sit here, consider this: the spark within you has always been present. It has existed quietly through every success, every setback, every moment of doubt and exhilaration. It is not defined by the recognition of others, nor constrained by the circumstances you face. It is a force that has been waiting patiently for you to acknowledge it, to give it space, and to allow it to guide your choices with clarity, courage, and integrity. When you finally embrace this truth, something remarkable happens. You begin to see the world not as a set of limitations, but as a canvas of infinite possibility. There is a responsibility that accompanies this realization, though. To recognize your potential is not enough. You must act. You must let your curiosity drive you into the unknown, your courage push you through challenges, and your empathy connect you to others in ways that amplify not just your own life, but theirs as well. The true measure of someone who is special is not merely the brilliance they possess internally, but the impact they create externally. It is in this alignment between inner capacity and outward action that you realize your deepest purpose and leave a mark that endures beyond your own existence. So step forward, take the risks that make your heart race, ask the questions that make others uncomfortable, pursue the ideas that feel too vast, too audacious, too impossible. Trust that the qualities that make you unique are not accidents. They are signals guiding you toward your highest expression. And know that every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, and every act of courage you take strengthens the very fabric of your being, enabling you to reach heights you once thought unimaginable. Ladies and gentlemen, the world does not often pause to acknowledge the quiet, extraordinary brilliance that resides within each of us. But I do, and I urge you to do the same. Because when you recognize the extraordinary in yourself, you no longer merely exist, you create, you innovate, you inspire, you transform. And in doing so, you leave a legacy not measured in accolades, but in lives touched, possibilities realized, and the unfolding of human potential itself. There is something special about you. Never doubt it. Never ignore it. Nurture it, cultivate it, and let it guide you toward a life of courage, meaning, and impact. Because the world is waiting for the gift that only you can give, and when you finally step into that space, fully and without hesitation, you will see just how far and how beautifully human potential can stretch.